Is Cardinal Cupich's reign of terror in the U.S. over? We'll cover that topic and more in today's special episode of Kokx News. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. If you haven't heard just yet, Cardinal Cupich of Chicago, who's now actually of retirement age, he passed 75 years old already. His resignation is, or at least it should be, sitting on the desk of Leo. He gave an award, or he's decided to give an award to Senator Dick Durbin. Senator Durbin is a long-time, 28-year, in fact, serving member of the United States Senate. He's a Democrat. He represents the state of Illinois in the Senate. He's also been a self-identifying Catholic for his life. And I say self-identifying because throughout the years, Democrat Senator Durbin has supported pro-LGBT, pro-same-sex marriage, and so-called marriage, as well as pro-abortion legislation. And so why did Cardinal Cupich of Chicago just announce that he's going to honor Senator Durbin with the Lifetime Achievement Award? And what does that actually mean for the U.S. church under Leo going forward? Now, again, we've already seen a number of heterodox moves taking place while after Leo emerged from the conclave. You saw this in the Diocese of Charlotte, North Carolina, with the bishop down there closing a lot of the Latin Mass churches. We saw also in Chicago with Weisenberger, who fired the 3 professors at Sacred Heart Seminary, as well as shutting down a lot of Latin Masses there. And so, while this decision of Cupich to give Senator Durbin a Lifetime Achievement Award doesn't rise to that level, it certainly is a thumbing of the nose, if you will, at Catholic heterodox teaching. And here's the website itself. The Archdiocese of Chicago is offering this award, or bestowing this award, through its Human Dignity and Solidarity ministry. And there's going to be a benefit in 2025, this coming November, where Cardinal Cupich will be there. It will be at St. Ignatius Prep School in Chicago. And Cupich will be the moderator. And the Lifetime Achievement Award here will be given to Senator Durbin for his support for immigrants. And this is obviously a way for Cupich to focus on issues that are not related to abortion, not related to LGBT. And, a lot of people are reacting to this, and there has been fallout. There has been actually some reaction to it. Archbishop Cordileone of San Francisco has rebuked this publicly. Bishop Strickland has as well. We'll go over what they say, as well as Bishop Paprocki, Thomas Paprocki of the neighboring diocese of the Archdiocese of Chicago, and that's the Diocese of Springfield. And Bishop Paprocki has already, years ago, banned him from having communion in his diocese. So kudos to him on that. But before anything else, it's interesting that Cupich is making this award, or giving this award, because it actually coincides with remarks with what Leo has recently said to the Crux magazine interview. And this is that story here I wrote for LifeSite. And Leo says, "I'm not going to engage with Trump. I have no problem doing so," but he says he thinks that it's better if those who are in the States, the U.S., are focusing on that. He said, "I don't plan to get involved in partisan politics. That's not what the church is about." But he also said he does have real concerns about what's going on in the U.S. And here's the quote that's most important. "One of the last conversations I had with the vice president," of course he's speaking with J.D. Vance, "I talked about human dignity and how important that is for all people, wherever you're at, wherever you're born, and hopefully to find ways to respect human beings in the way we treat them. The United States is a power player on a world level," he continued to Crux, "and sometimes decisions are made based more on economics than on human dignity." Now, you have to remember that it was when Prevost was a cardinal, he was in charge of the bishop's dicastery, where he worked very closely, actually, with Cupich, who was on that committee, basically in charge of picking and choosing which bishops and which priests are going to be elevated in the conciliar church. And you'll recall that, actually, he deleted all his tweets after he was elected. And many of those tweets were very much in favor, rather against, Trump's policy of immigration, because Trump wanted to, at the time, to remove all the illegal immigrants. And it was Prevost who shared an article criticizing Trump from the National Catholic Register, National Catholic Reporter, actually, and then also an article from America Magazine. And so he's obviously super liberal on this question. And he joined in, actually, praising in this Kokx magazine interview a statement that Francis gave towards the very end of his pontificate, towards his reign. And he said, "I was happy to see the letter he wrote about the issue of the treatment of immigrants. I was very happy to see how the American bishops picked that up, and some of them were courageous to go forward with that." And this was a letter that Bergoglio wrote in February, just 2 months before he died, and it was addressed to the U.S. bishops. And he called Trump's policy a major crisis. Okay, so we know where Leo stands on this. And this makes it all the more significant as to where will things go in the U.S. now that Francis is gone, that Prevost is in there. How will clergy react here? Because, again, the Lavender Mafia, Cupich, McElroy, Tobin, among others, they're still in charge of the biggest sees. They're the cardinals here, right? But that doesn't mean now, okay, they just get carte blanche, because, again, under Francis, Cupich was like number 1A in the U.S. But we have been seeing, actually, some pretty good pushback against this. Among others, again, as I mentioned, Bishop Paprocki issued a statement saying this is condemnatory, awful. But so has Archbishop Cordileone in San Francisco, who issued a statement on Twitter. "I stand with Bishop Paprocki of Illinois in urging Cupich to reconsider giving Durbin a Lifetime Achievement Award." Okay. Now, what's interesting about, first of all, getting this award, Lifetime Achievement, I mean, think about that. Senator Durbin has supported policies, abortion, LGBT, etc. Abortion inherently denies the unborn a chance at even having life, the opportunity of ever having a Lifetime Achievement Award ever being given to them. His support for homosexual marriage, so-called, a situation that cannot ever produce human life, not open to life, right? So his entire public career has been afforded to him because of, among other things, running on policies that disallow or inherently attack this idea of a Lifetime Achievement Award, right? You can't have a lifetime achievement if you're murdered in your mother's womb, right? And so I think it's good that Cordileone is speaking up. And, there has to be some kudos also being given here to Joseph Strickland, who said, "I join Archbishop Cordileone in supporting Bishop Paprocki and urging Cardinal Cupich to reverse his decision. I also condemn Bishop Paprocki for caring for the senators' souls and commend Bishop Paprocki for caring for Durbin's soul and barring him from communion." And that's an overdue thing for all of these so-called Catholic Democrats, right? You can't be a Catholic and a Democrat. Just the way it is these days. The party's gone too far. Now, there's been some reaction to this that is perhaps indicative of where things might go. I don't know. I mean, I don't have too much hope, but Father Peter Taltelbin made this remark, which I think it could be possible. He said, "The public blowback from other bishops that Cupich is receiving from honoring Senator Durbin is a very interesting story. because these disagreements are usually not aired publicly. I think this signals a new chapter in the life of the American church in many ways. There's a strong possibility, yeah. And he goes on, he was replying to others. Father says, I think for good reason, for a number of reasons. First, you have bishops speaking out publicly in favor of the church. I think he means just the church's teachings. And he also says, you will notice that everyone feels comfortable calling Cupich out, which shows you where the momentum is among the U.S. bishops and that a page has been turned in Rome because Cupich is no longer the Pope's guy in America. Potentially. I mean, Cupich was quite giddy after the conclave itself. And he certainly did work with Prevost at the Dicastery for Bishops. So, we'll see where this goes, if Leo's going to weigh in on this at all. One article that I thought was pretty good on this topic was from the Catholic World Report by Jade Hendricks. And he writes all the things that we're saying here. How can you award someone whose entire life, public life, is premised upon policies and supporting laws that attack life, that attack Catholic moral teaching, that attack biblical theology on marriage, etc. The important thing I think that he mentions here at the very bottom, and he mentions that how Leo will respond to this will show very much maybe where he's going to go in the future. And he says Leo does not have to publicly admonish Cupich to signal his displeasure. Cupich is beyond retirement age. The Holy Father can easily accept his resignation and replace him with someone who might be an effective leader among U.S. Catholics. For his own hometown, again, Leo's from Chicago. Prevost went to Catholic Theological Union, ultra-liberal institution. Again, where I went to school was Loyola in Chicago. Everybody knows anyone who went to Catholic Theological Union, we know where they stand. And the article says he should have a man he can trust. Now, look, we all understand the situation in the church, that Rome is occupied, that we are under the reign of squatters, modernists, etc. Right? And that we need to do the opposite of what Trad Inc. is doing here. Michael Matt wrote a love letter to Leo the other day on Twitter, basically saying, Holy Father, we've been in this fight for so long. We've never left the church. We love you. Because again, there's this thinking out there that Leo is amenable to freeing the extraordinary form of the Mass. And we don't use that term here because we understand it's not. It's the Latin Mass, the Tridentine Rite, etc. Right? It's not the extraordinary form of the Novus Ordo. In any case, it's still important to keep an eye on what's unfolding, not just in the conciliar church, but also in the U.S. situation itself. And to see Cupich get some blowback for this from others is good and important. And again, we're waiting to see what Leo is going to do in the U.S. Will he act against the situation in Charlotte? Will he condemn Weisenberger in Detroit? I doubt it. But at least there's some so-called conservatives who are starting to get boisterous, and they're going to realize they need to grow a spine. And it's important to do that for them. So I doubt Cupich will cancel this award. I doubt also that Leo will accept his resignation anytime soon. But it will be indicative as to where he's going to go. I hear there's also appointments maybe even coming up in Colorado. Aquila is past retirement age or nearing it with his resignation. And if Cupich is removed, who is Leo going to put in there? And that's going to be a big tell. And at that point, I don't think these trad influencers are going to be able to deny what's really going on here. Again, and you noticed in a lot of the reaction to the Crux interview, almost none of them made note of the fact that in the interview, at the very, very start, actually, I'll bring it up on the screen so you can read it. Leo actually said this, quote, "The role of women in the church has to continue to develop. I think in that sense, there was a positive response. He was referring to what Bergoglio was doing. I hope to continue in the footsteps of Francis, including in appointing women to some leadership roles at different levels in the church's life, recognizing the gifts that women have that can contribute to the life of the church in many ways. So don't forget that was mentioned in that interview. So in any case, that's all for today, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Again, it's a special report for Kokx News. Follow us on Twitter at Stephen Kokx. Go to our Substack, Kokx News, or go to our YouTube channel, obviously here, Rumble as well, and follow us there. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time, God bless.